Welcome to the next episode of the Pints Podcast. Hello, James.
Hello, mate. It's been a while.
It does feel like it's been a while. It's not actually been that long, but I think the one we released 2 weeks ago was obviously recorded in April. And then 2 weeks before that was the Magic Mod, which was another great episode, I thought.
Yeah. We got together for the intro and outro re-record for Dave's episode a couple of weeks ago. But it's been probably nearly a month since we had the Magic Mod on as a guest. So it feels nice to be back. We do have busy schedules. It's been festival season. There's tons of gigs. I'm good, mate. Should we talk about last weekend?
Last weekend.
Weekend before, sorry.
Are you talking about Neighbourhood Weekender?
Yeah, and Singleton Park.
Oh, of course. The Catfish's final gigs that weren't final gigs.
Yeah. So I went down. It was Yonica.
Yonica.
Didn't catch them, unfortunately. Did catch Feeder. Never seen Feeder live. Did not disappoint.
Live.
Yeah, fantastic. Followed by Yumi at 6, which was a good gig. When he played his
throwback.
When they played the old stuff, I was loving it. I didn't know any of the newer stuff. I've not listened to Yumi at 6 for probably the last 4 albums, maybe. Lived a Lie, that kind of era. That was the last that I kind of tuned in. There's a tune. What's the tune where the music video is the driving like dirt bikes around a racetrack or something? That was the last.
Wrong person.
Yeah, that was the last single of theirs I think I listened to. But they played some of the classics, like they played Lived a Lie, they played like Underdog, and a few other bangers. That was really good. And then Catfish, I mentioned to Sean afterwards, I thought the gig was unreal. The music sounded mega, as it always does. It just felt like a bit of a disconnect between the band members. And in hindsight, I don't know if I was just kind of overanalyzing the situation because of the information that I was predisposed to and the conspiracies I had seen. That was on the Saturday. At the same time, Sean was watching James at Neighbourhood Weekender.
Indeed.
On the Saturday. And how was that?
I thought Neighbourhood was really good this year. Obviously, I went the first year with Cortinas and Noel, and I was really impressed.
We did go the first year, with Cortinas and Noel, sure.
Yes, as I said. But in terms of Catfish, obviously they closed the Sunday night. When I saw the Reading set, I'm inclined to agree that they looked a bit disjointed, but I thought on the final day of Neighbourhood, I thought they were brilliant. And I did think at the time that that's kind of a fitting way to go out, because obviously everyone thought it was the final gig. Not to be, as they announced their supporting Stereophonics the day after. So who knows? Who knows what's happening? But yeah, there's just loads of gigs that they're on at the minute. Like loads of festivals. I feel a bit worn out from everything. But I'm at Sam Fender tonight or yesterday, if in terms of the podcast, do we know?
Victoria Warehouse.
Indeed. Then we've got Blossoms Saturday at Manchester Arena with the Lathams and Magic Gang, and then Cortinas and Tom Grennan next week.
Is it not Blossoms again?
Blossoms are supporting Cortinas, but if anything, if I've learnt anything from the Emirates Old Trafford bar queues from previous years, I will not be watching any of the support acts because I'll be queuing for a drink. And big news this week from coming out of music was Jamie Webster's album announcement. Moments, his new album will be out on January the 28th. He's released a new single, which is brilliant, and a video for that. He's got a tour coming up. And guess who's on the podcast this week, James?
Is it Jamie Webster?
Correct. Shall we get him in?
Get him in. Let's do it.
And we're joined this week by a very special guest, one of the most exciting singer-songwriters in the UK at the minute, off the back of a big announcement. Jamie Webster, how are you doing?
I'm very good, lads. Thanks very much for having me on.
Thanks for joining us, mate. Cheers, mate.
How are you doing? All right?
Yeah, we're good.
Yes,
we're good,
mate. All good.
Not as buzzing as you, I imagine, because we'll dive straight into yesterday's announcement, which was the new album Moments, out January the 28th. How does it feel to finally get the news out there?
Yeah, obviously we recorded it the end of April, start of May, in Rockfield Studios. So, you know, I had that great experience, and I wasn't really able to talk about it for too long because, you know, we were sort of trying to keep a little bit of secrecy around the album and let the hype build, and then obviously let it, after done a big gig, sort of let it explode to everyone that it's coming out and there's a new sound. But yeah, I'm made up to finally have, you know, 2 singles off the album out there and after the announcement there. And yeah, it's, you know, it's, as a musician, besides playing live gigs, you know, making albums is the next best thing that you can do. And I love like off the first album campaign we get by, I just loved every minute of it, the excitement of it, the sort of hustle and bustle of getting people engaged in it and seeing people's feedback and, you know, just watching it build and everything. It's a boss, it's like a boss sort of series of events, you know, from writing the songs to recording the songs to planning the campaign to actually, you know, carrying out the campaign and living through the campaign to release week to chart positions and then to the gigs of people singing the songs back to you once they've heard them. It's just an unbelievable process because it seems like it happens overnight. You know, like obviously once it's all said and done, you're like, I remember sitting down and writing those songs, but you know, to have it announced and you know, have people buzzing about it, the reaction from all the fans has been, as always, it's just been incredible, and it's what you do it for, you know what I mean, to engage with those fans and get your words across to them.
Yeah. I'll touch on Rockfield Studios, actually, you just mentioned. So many iconic bands have recorded there. What's it like to be part of that?
It was unbelievable, and, you know, like, make no mistake about it, it's not a big swanky London studio with all singing, all dancing. It's a farm with 2 studios on it, you know what I mean? Yeah. It's a working farm with 2 studios on it that, you know, people from Ozzy Osbourne to Freddie Mercury to Noel and Liam Gallagher and the Stone Roses, they've all recorded that. So the history's just in the walls in the place, you know what I mean? Some of the rooms haven't been touched since the 70s, like, and you can proper feel like, you know, I could almost feel I was staying in the same bedroom as Freddie Mercury was, and I could almost feel his ghost following me around in the morning and in the day through the corridor. It was just amazing. It was just an unbelievable experience. Obviously, I got to work with the top producer whose name's Dave Eringer, and he's worked with his main client, Automatic Street Preachers, who were obviously massive, and also a massively political band. So it was great to be able to work with him because I feel like he just got me from the start and just really tried to make me comfortable. He's also worked with like The Who, you know, going from Roger Daltrey, Pete Townsend, also Wilco Johnson, Tom Jones, Kylie Minogue. He's just worked with loads of massive people, do you know what I mean? And he's just, as well as the Proclaimers, he's just, he was an unbelievable producer and an unbelievable person to work with. And Rockfield was his studio of choice. So it was, for me and the lads who played me band, we were just buzzing to get there. And we had the same schedule as Oasis did for What's the Story, Morning Glory, and that's 13 days to do it all. And we were in the studio for like 14-hour days, like sometimes, you know, just. But it was an unbelievable, because your bedroom is literally a 15-minute walk away from the studio front door. So it's like, I was in my dressing gown until 3 o'clock in the day most of the time, you know what I mean? Just, I'm comfortable as anything. The staff there were amazing. And the records, once people hear it, you can tell it's being done in a top studio with the top producers. It just sounds massive. And I'm absolutely buzzing with it.
Yeah. Well, we've obviously heard a couple of the tracks where Days Unknown went down great, and then you've released the new single Going Out, which is just, I think it's just like sort of an instant hit, isn't it? Especially from what I've seen from people online. What's that reception been like?
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, I've seen a few people, you know, a few people who've been supporting me for a while have come out on socials and said, you know, it's just my favourite one yet. It's instant toe tapper sort of thing. It's just, I think it's just when the track explodes, it's just got that riff, hasn't it? And the riff sort of like, it's almost like a classic indie riff, isn't it? You know what I mean? You could imagine like the Libertines and bands like that playing it. And it just makes you feel good. I think that song, and I made up that's what everyone who's listened to it seems to have drew from it, you know what I mean? I had one knobhead that you always get who said it's just the same as all the others, do you know what I mean? But you know, like that was the only negative comments I've seen, and for all the comments I've had, that's unbelievable. And I'm just buzzing. Like, you know, obviously you write these songs from the first sort of scribble on a piece of paper and the first note of an acoustic guitar. And, you know, so when you hear people connecting with them once they're released, it's an unbelievable feeling, because they're like, it's like sending your kids off to school and seeing them do well. Do you know what I mean? That's almost what it's like when you release a song. Not that I've got children, like, but I can imagine that's what my songs feel like kids to me. Do you know what I mean? Like, because I've literally watched them, the birth of them from a piece of paper in the demo room into a proper studio, the whole process, and now obviously going into people's ears. It's an release days are like, if you get a good one like I did with Days Unknown and like I did with Going Out Yesterday, you're just buzzing all day. You constantly, I mean, don't mean on your eyes, and you get a bit of a headache because you're on your phone all day trying to like keep the engagement high and trying to like get into. Well, I try and get in touch with everyone who said something nice about me. I know how much it means to people when you come back to them and thank them for the support. So I always try and do that, and it's a long, tedious day for me release days, because I'm literally I'm buzzing at the same time, but I'm like, at least like, and when it's a good day, obviously the notifications and, you know, your streams, it all just keeps coming in and going up, and you try and keep your eye on everything. And it's by the end of the day, you're absolutely wiped out. But, you know, I just can't thank everyone enough for the support that they show me on release days and throughout, you know, leading up to the albums and, you know, leading up to the gigs. It's just, I never ever thought, obviously I've come from a background in football music, and that's pretty, look, if you're singing football songs to football fans on a day that their football team have just won, you pretty much know that it's going to go down well, and you know that people are going to get behind it. And it's been amazing over the years, but with my own music, you don't know that, because, you know what I mean, it's not specific to a football team, it's inclusive to everyone, and it's put out there into a bigger world than football. Do you know what I mean? And it's really, really nerve-wracking on how people are going to take to them. And when people, like, obviously when you see the excitement from other people in your music, it's just, it settles your nerves a lot, but it's also just, it's just a boss feeling. I've just got a smile on my face every time I see someone engage with something that I've done. It is what you do it for, to make people feel part of something and to bring people together in sort of the name of your music. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because you were for a while very much heavily associated with Liverpool Football Club. You still are, but do you reckon Everton fans warm to you? Just a little bit. Just a bit. Well, just
it's growing, the Everton fan thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, I was speaking about in demand radio about this the other day. It's like, I get it from an Everton fan's perspective. For like, you know, like I get it fully. If I was just a normal football fan, a music fan, and obviously a Liverpool fan, and I'd seen this kid singing songs about Liverpool and, you know, about Everton, whatever. Every time Liverpool had won a big game, you'd see this kid singing songs to a load of people who you don't like the sight of. I understand that when he says, right, I'm going to take over the world with my own music, that they don't. Well, not with my help, you know what I mean? I get it, like, I get it first off, but obviously the more and more, some of my very, very best mates are Blues. Do you know what I mean? It's not like someone walks past me and goes, all right, lads, what's your name? Oh, yeah, I'm Jamie. What's your name? John. Who do you support, John? Oh, I support Everton. Like, see you later, can't talk. It's not like that here. It's not like that in Liverpool. It's not, you know what I mean? So it's like, the more music comes out and the more people see the gigs and see that I'm singing songs about them and working class life, and, you know, because I'm writing for everyone, like people like me, people like you, no matter who you support, where you live, what you do. You know what I mean? If you're from a certain background of you know, working class life, then my songs are for you. You know what I mean? It's for me and you. It's like, I'm writing for us. Do you know what I mean? I'm trying to let our voices be heard in a big old world where we're not sort of heard a lot. So once that sort of gets crossed over more and more, it's not going to happen overnight, and it's happening slowly but surely. You're never going to please everyone. You know what I mean? And
I think you're definitely getting there, mate. I play up and down Matthew Street and in all the Irish bars around town, and the amount of Blues that are requesting your tunes from me, mate, you'd probably be surprised. You know?
Yeah, but this place is about not forgetting where you come from. It's obviously about, no matter where you go in the world, being proud of where you've come from and where you've been raised. And, you know, that's, for me, that's the city of Liverpool. And for a lot of Everton fans, that's the city of Liverpool as well. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And for people in Glasgow, whether they're Celtic or Rangers fans, for them, that's the city of Glasgow. Do you know what I mean? It's about wherever you are from, being proud of it and owning it, really, and not, like, you know, not putting it down. And obviously everyone knows how proud I am to bang the Scouse drum. Do you know what I mean? And I always will be. Yeah, but
and there's not many gigs I play where your tunes aren't requested now. And in fact, when you were talking about going out a minute ago, I was thinking to myself, because I've got a couple of gigs tonight. I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to be disappointing a good few people tonight because they're going to be coming up to me saying, "You play Jamie Webster's new tune? Can you play Going Out?" Fucking hell, give me a week, mate. Give me a week. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Where are you playing tonight, mate?
I'm in Rocking Horse on Great Charlotte Street at 7. I'm in Dirty O'Shea's at 9. And McCooley's at 11.
That's the proper circuit, that life, innit? You know what I mean?
Yeah, mate. Yeah, it's heavy.
It's right, though, lad. I done loads like Slaughterhouse, Crosscall, and sort of bars. I done them for 7-8 years. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was I used to love them. The atmospheres you get on some of them Friday nights, the end dudes, and all that. It's absolutely nuts, isn't it?
Yeah,
but yeah,
it's boss.
James, don't you have a good story about earning a bit of money off it?
You've made me a bit of money actually. Only a few weeks ago, I just finished in McCooley's. It was about 2 on like a Sunday morning, like a Saturday night, Sunday morning, and I just finished up. I probably just played like Sweet Caroline or something, and take my guitar off me, like from off my shoulder and that. I'm about to put it in the bag, and some fella comes up to the stage and he goes, "Do you take requests, mate?" I said, "I do, but you're a song too late." I said, I'm fucking knackered, mate. I'm going home. And I'm not joking. He got 100 quid out of his pocket and he said, "Play Weekend in Paradise now." So I went, "Okay."
I'm a bit gutted. You got the 100 quid, like.
I was going to say, you get a cut of it now. It's commission.
Yeah, no, that's boss, mate. It's right. And do you know what? Fair play, because I've done a lot of times after my gigs, and it's like, "Oh, lad, give us one more," and I've just been like, "No, fuck off, like, mate. I'm just I'm too tired." But fair play to you, lad. Fair play to you, and you ain't that, lad. Defo.
We'll go back on to talking about the new song, which we just mentioned, because the video for it is taken from Saturday's gig, isn't it? From the Guild. I want you to try. I was going to ask you to try and sum up what that gig was like, but I think it's kind of summed up by your entrance, isn't it?
Yeah. Just a primeval raw, like when I got on stage. Obviously, like, this gig's been put back and rescheduled and changed venues over like 18 months now. Do you know what I mean? And this was like my hometown sort of album show. Do you know what I mean? It was going to be euphoric and all that, and then the album come and went, and then a year come and went since the album was released, and this show still hadn't happened. So obviously, like, I'd been planning that entrance, the nerves that I was feeling, because I've had that long to think about it, and like, it's got all sorts of stuff into preparation. Like, we've upped it we played like with SPDs in the background, you know what I mean? I had in ears for the first time, so I could really concentrate on what was going on stage rather than getting too involved in the crowd, because sometimes you just I personally get carried away in adrenaline, and sometimes like forget that I've got a band behind me trying to keep up with me and play, you know what I mean? So I ordered a big backdrop banner and all that. Like, I tried to make it look as proper as I could with all the time that we've had. So, but one thing I'd also planned was that entrance back onto the, I thought, like, people have been waiting for this just as long as I have. When I walk onto that stage, I want to let them know that I want to be there just as much as they do. Do you know what I mean? And obviously, I just, like, I was thinking about playing it cool and just sort of giving it one of them, and then I just seen everyone, and I just thought, no way. You know what I mean? And it was, but it was good that I'd done it, because as soon as I'd done it, the crowd just, like, it was already here, but then it just went to here. Do you know what
Raised
I mean? For the first song, and then I had everyone's like full euphoria engaged for that first tune, and then you know what I mean, I just rid that wave then till the end of the gig. It was literally like riding a wave of adrenaline and euphoria. The gig passed me by on stage like that. I remember moments of it, you know what I mean, where it's like, yeah, that was good. That was the rest of it. I was just a sweaty mess running around and trying to, do you know what I mean, just enjoying. I was honestly just proper enjoying myself, seeing that crowd, just like with lads whipping the tops off and everything, throwing it around, and it's just like, this to one of my gigs. I've seen all this at gigs, you know, being a punter at gigs all my life, going to gigs, seeing lads on each other's shoulders, you know what I mean, knocking the tops off, throwing ale all over each other. I'm not too keen on that part, but still, you know what I mean, I've seen it happen year by year by year at, like, you know, Jerry Cinnamon gigs, Liam Gallagher gigs, loads of Cortina's gigs. Nearly every gig I've almost been to since I was a kid, you know what I mean? And I just stood there on the stage going, is this really fucking happening at my gig, in my show, do you know what I mean? It was a surreal feeling. And I think the lads, Dan Hewitson, who done the video, he's captured it basically. If anyone wants to know what the gig was like and what future gigs might be like, just look at the video for going out on YouTube and that'll tell you. Do you know what I mean? It was special. It was, like people will say to me about Madrid and say, was that the best one you've ever done and stuff like that? And up to Saturday night it was, but that was those were all my songs from birth. Do you know what I mean? It was all my work. It was like it was not no other entity other than myself. Do you know what I mean? And obviously the lads, myself and my fans. There was no football entity. There was no, you know what I mean? It didn't matter. It was just all about the tunes. And I've never had a buzz like that. Like, even looking back at some of the videos the next day, I was just like tears in my eyes. Just like buzzing it. Yeah, we've all waited so long for, not just me and a lot of other musicians and bands have waited so long for moments like that. And when they finally come around, because we've gone so long without them, you really do you realise how much that they do mean. And how lucky I am to have an unbelievable, fan base that give me that sort of support and like put me on that much of a pedestal and really like do it with me, you know what I mean? Because a man singing on stage is one thing, but a man's, singing on a stage and coordinating and conducting 2,500 people with him at full voice, that's something else completely, you know what I mean? It's just like you can have the nicest pitch perfect voice in the world, but if no one's singing along with you or dancing with you, what's the point, you know what I mean? But it's just an amaze. Like I can't say, playing live like to crowds like that, just roll on the tour. That's the only thing I can say. Roll on the rest of them.
I was going to say, good job you enjoyed it because you got 3 more homecoming shows as part of the tour, haven't you? Is that obviously you're looking forward to the Liverpool shows. Is there anywhere else you're looking forward to visiting on that tour?
Everywhere. I've never really toured before. I've played around the world and around the country with doing Liverpool FC gigs, do you know what I mean? But that's not the same. They're always standalone gigs. I might do 2 gigs or 3-4 gigs in Ireland over a weekend, but then that'd be it, you know what I mean? And then, but this is like a proper tour, 14, 15 places, cities, doing my own songs. This is what I've always dreamed of, do you know what I mean? And it's mad considering that I am onto my second album and stuff like that. I've never actually toured, and you know what I mean? But I can't wait. Every place on that tour is going to be a new experience for me, you know what I mean? Because I've done Belfast and Dublin before and London before, but I haven't released a bank of songs like this, and for my own stuff, and it's just I can't wait. I've only just got my sales thing through this week, for all the places, and everything's approaching a sellout. I'd be surprised if there's more than 2 or 3 that don't sell out on the tour. I'd be surprised because they're all heading that way. They're all like 80% gone as it is, and if not sold out. And it's just great to be. It'll be interesting, like, because I'm still coming off the back of that Liverpool thing, so it will be interesting what people expect of me when I get up there on the stage, and will they, are they there for the Liverpool reason alone? Are they there for both reasons, or are they there just for my own music? And I hope it's the latter, to be honest, because that's all that the fucking gotta get. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely, mate. You just keep writing. You just keep writing and playing good tunes like you're doing, mate, and the people will keep coming, and you'll be selling out them shows. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I saw a quote from This Feeling actually on Twitter. Do you know what you've seen it? Obviously, I think you replied to it on. Do you know when you released the new song, and they said like, "How is he not playing the big festival slots and stuff?" And I think it's certainly going in that direction, isn't it? Sorry, my voice is going. It's certainly going in that direction.
Yeah. I mean, radio play baffles me, baffles a lot of people. I'm not the only person who should be on the radio. I think there's loads of artists at the minute who are writing unbelievable music, and it's like you just hear it. I like not just me, other bands that I hear stuff. I hear songs. That's a radio tune. That I heard once I heard Going Out, I was like, that's a radio tune. Days Unknown, I thought it was a radio tune. We've got radio edits that minus the swear words and stuff like that and substitutes to air words, you know what I mean? And they've all been pitched to radio. Well, obviously I get me support of the local radio stations, Manchester, XS Manchester, all the ones in Liverpool, give me a platform, or like the non-national major ones. But you know, for the likes of your BBCs and that, and your Radio X's and your even like your Capitals and that stuff like that, it's just. I mean, I don't get it, you know what I mean? But it's not just me that I don't get. You know, there's loads of artists out there who are knocking out tunes. You think if you put them on the radio, they'd be massive. You know what I mean? And like, it's not the be all end all these days, but it does go a long way. Do you know what I mean? And as far as festivals are concerned, I had to get my head around this summer that these festivals were all rollovers from the last festivals that got cancelled from COVID. And I've give everyone a pass in my own head for not booking me. Do you know what I mean? So like,
you're playing Sound City though, aren't you? I think.
Yeah, obviously, yeah. I mean, if that didn't happen, that was considering my label is sort of like partly, you know, in conjunction with Sound City. I wouldn't have been. I would have had a few. I would have been knocking on a few doors there if I wasn't on that. But going into next year, like, you know, I'm hopeful that some decent festival offers are going to come, and you know, off the back of the album and the tours, hopefully I can make it undeniable for the radios to play me music. You know what I mean? Like do what Jerry Cinnamon done, where you start selling out massive venues all over the place, and how can the radios? How can they say no? Yeah,
well, that's it. They'll chime in a year, won't they? Saying, "Have you heard of this new artist?"
That's
mate,
what
3 years ago.
That's what we're open for. But you know what?
Where have you been? Yeah.
But if not, I'd you know what? Every day of the week, I'd take those experiences with my fans in those venues, large or small. Like that's what you live for. That's what makes that's like, honestly, that's literally like, that's what it's all about for me. Like even just being in the dressing room 10-15 minutes before going on, rattling with nerves and pacing up and down and pumping with adrenaline and ready to go on, and people are like, I'll have a drink, and you're like, nah, this is my fucking drink, mate. You know what I mean? This is like this is what we live for. Do you know what I mean? And that's like, if that's me till I'm 55, 60 years of age, then I'll have lived a fucking great life. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
If I can get the radios and the festivals and everything else behind me, then it'll be even better. Do you know what I mean? But
fully expecting to see you on some major festival lineups next year. That's where your tunes need to be played, mate. That's where you need to be, because that would be insane. I think you're probably, as you said, you probably had to get your head around the fact that festival lineups this year were basically rollovers from last year. I think you're probably gonna, as a result, next year, my prediction. Maybe I'm biased because I do really enjoy your music, but I think you're gonna skip a load of, so you know, the up and coming stages and whatnot. You're gonna be on the main stages. You're gonna be on the lineups in the top rows.
Don't tempt fate, James. Just let it happen.
I feel it, mate, because your music deserves it, mate.
Do you know what, mate? I can feel that too in some stages, and you know, like it's like you saying. I just think sometimes you just gotta. Like, I've had a problem with believing in myself. Do you know what I mean? Over like the past 18 months, what COVID done was shattered my confidence in terms of like, is it there? Is it not? Do people still hungry for it? Do people want it? But now, like after Saturday, it's just given me so much. Like, obviously after doing the record, and then the responses to the singles and whatnot. But since the gig on Saturday, it's like, no, it's there for all to see, and you know, like it's even there for me to see again now, and I believe in myself, and you know, I've set my sights as high as they can go. You know what I mean? I want to be one of the best of the best. You know what I mean? I want to be the biggest of the biggest, and you don't get there without believe in yourself. Do you know what I mean? Look at what my mate Paddy the Baddy's doing in the UFC world at the minute. You know what I mean?
He's everywhere, isn't he? Absolutely.
He believes in himself and he backs it up with his fights, and that's what I've got to take a leaf out of his book. Maybe not to the same extent, you know what I mean? Because it works a lot. He looks a lot cooler on someone who's hard than someone who's not. You know what I mean? But like, I've got to take out of a leaf of his book and believe in myself and tell people that I believe in myself, and then the tunes will back that up anyway. So. It's a good time now. It's all being well, if we can just keep gigging through to Christmas and have a good summer next summer, then the sky's the limit for me. I think just gotta keep working hard and keep my feet on the ground. You know what I mean? And my head on the ground as well.
No, definitely. I'm going to ask you the question I said I was going to spring on you now, which is the podcast question. And it's 100% my fault that you're not already aware of this, because I should have sent it out and I've done this before. I'll do it again. So we briefly told you, we ask every guest to give us 3 musicians, past or present, that they could spend a night around a table with, having a drink, getting to know. Who would you choose? Who's your first choice and why?
Bob Dylan, because he's me, number one. You know what I mean? Like, he always will be.
Yeah.
George Harrison, because he's number one Beatle, and he's just God rest him, like, he was just an unbelievable human being, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Big fan of George, and like everything he stood for and everything he represented, really. And he used to be an electrician like me before he went into the Beatles and stuff like that. So I'd like to talk to him about his toolbox, you know what I mean? Back in the day. But yeah, like, so George. And then the third would probably have to be David Byrne from the Talking Heads. Because he's a mad and weird fucker. And
I was going to say,
like, I just think he'd be unbelievably into. Might be a bit awkward, you know what I mean? Because I think he's a bit. I think he like. It's just a bit. He just seems like a bit mad, but I proper got into the Talking Heads over lockdown, and I've always liked a couple of tunes, but I've seen Stop Making Sense, and which is an unbelievable gig. I don't know if you've seen it. It's a live gig that they done in 1984. It was like sort of captured as a movie. He starts off coming on with the stage with an acoustic guitar and a boombox, and it ends up with 15 musicians, like full, like it's unbelievable. And you come on one by one, tune by tune, and like it's just an unbelievable show. You know what I mean? Like it sort of inspired me for me encore on Saturday night, and he's like, I don't know, I've just been. I was proper fascinated by him for a period during the lockdown. You know what I mean? And I thought to myself, like, it'd be mad to meet him just because, like, he just seems out there. But I'd love to talk to him about, like, Stop Making Sense, and This Must Be the Place is probably my favourite song in the world at the minute. And he obviously wrote that and performed it, and I'd just love to. You know, it'd be even better if the three of them were all together.
That's what we say. We say they're all together.
That's the concept.
Yeah. Because, like, obviously, like, George and Bob knew each other from the Travelling Wilburys. Do you know what I mean? And then David Byrne, you know, I think he'd be a bit of an outside of the box addition to the Travelling Wilburys. And then obviously I put my name in the hat as well. Do you know what I mean? We could sort of reform from that point. Do you know what I mean? And like, yeah. So yeah, that's me three, I suppose. I'd say someone at the minute who's doing things and making music, but in all honesty, we're all on our own paths at the minute, and like, do you know what I mean? I'm sure I'll cross paths with a lot of those people over the next couple of years at festivals and whatnot. So I'd rather not wish for something that's already going to happen. I'd rather wish for something that's never going to happen. You know what I mean? And imagine something that's just never ever. Do you know what I mean? Like to sit at a table with Bob Dylan alone, but then to get George Harrison reincarnated and David Byrne all together at the table. Do you know what I mean? That's people should make a film about that. You know what I mean? That'd be good. But they're me three. Like, and
that's good. No, I'm impressed at how fast you gave them as well. Just quite straight off the cuff. Easy choices to make, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, Bob and George would always be at my table. Like, you know what I mean? If given the chance. So David Byrne was probably a toss up between David Byrne and like someone like Paul Simon. Do you know what I mean? Like, but I just think like Paul Simon, bit similar to like the Dylan and McCartney, but I just think David Byrne would bring that little bit of little bit of edge to the conversation. Do you know what I mean? And, like, I think him and Bob Dylan might be quite like controversial with each other, and there might even be a few crosswords if they were sat across the table from each other. Do you know what I mean? And it might be quite cool to sit there and throw your 2 pence worth in. But yeah, that's me. That's me. Pints of all pints, like.
Solid, good choices. We usually let people. The last thing we ask people is what are the plans, but we know exactly what your plans are. It's tour, album. Are there going to be any more releases? Yeah,
definitely. There's going to be at least 2 more releases before the album, and I like, you know, I think the first 2 were more festival songs, like sort of like, you know, like announcing a new sound. You know, Days Unknown's got the big la la la, and it's sort of like, you know, sort of gig tunes, if you know what I mean. But like these next two are more like tunes, like they're more like a bit more universal. They're not sort of specific to Jamie Webster. Do you know what I mean? Probably almost curveballs in a way. Do you know what I mean? Like one of them could be on the Wizard of Oz. Do you know what I mean? and the other one could be like almost like a Peaky Blinders soundtrack, sort of. Do you know what I mean? Like or like a spaghetti western soundtrack. You know what I mean? It's like I think the two biggest tunes off the album, like, do you know what I mean? And definitely the two most complete, all-rounded tunes. And I'm almost not expecting people to like fully get them straight away. Do you know what I mean? I'm almost expecting, especially with the next one, people to be a bit like, oh, it's gonna take, like, you know, it took me 2 or 3 weeks to get into that one, because it's just it's almost like Paolo Nutini meets Red Hot Chili Peppers. Do you know what I mean? In a way, sort of like cross, and as the baby of the Arctic Monkeys at the same time. Do you know what I mean? It's like just like a bit of a proper. It's a big sounded tune. You know what I mean? And like quite a dark and edgy vibe to it, but it's cool.
Do you pick the tunes yourself, or do you have some input? The ones that you're going to release as singles?
No, like, obviously I'm on an independent label, so what that means is I have more control over what goes on. You know what I mean? Everything sort of, it's almost like a 50-50 power sort of thing. You know what I mean? Where obviously the label have got their ideas, but independent work in the difference with independent record labels and major record labels is independent record labels work for you. You work for the majors. Do you know what I mean? You work for the big boys down in London. And you basically do as you're told down there. But with me, I've got a local label who believe in me and my vision and sort of my steering of the ship, which I'm very lucky to have. And so I'm not saying like they don't help me, because they're unbelievable. Like for an independent record label, they go above and beyond to make sure that like I'm where I need to be, or they do the best to make sure that I'm in the best position that I can be in. But in terms of the releases, no, it was like, you know, I think they basically picked themselves in the first two after what we've been through.
Yeah.
You needed to, I needed to put two tunes out like this, and, you know, I'm glad that they've been received in the way that I wanted them to.
Yeah.
But with the next ones, you know, we wanted, like, these are for sort of like the real Jamie Webster fans, if that makes sense. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? If you love these tunes, then you're a fan for life, basically. Do you know what I'm saying? And to just, I genuinely think that the second of the two next singles is the best song that I've ever written, musically, like feeling wise. It's not a big fast paced one. It's a lot slower and more melodic. You know what I mean? But I just, like, when I wrote it, I was just remember thinking, that's a fucking tune, man. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just like, you don't say it often about your own tunes. Me, least of all, I write a tune and I have to get it in the demo, and I have to get it in the demo studio and get my drummer behind it, my bass player and the guitar, to get everything on the tune until I know that it's like good or not. But I wrote that tune. I can't say the name or nothing, because obviously I want to preserve all the hype. But when I wrote that second of the next two singles that come out, I just remember thinking to myself, that's it. Like, that's the tune you've been waiting to write all your life. Do you know what I mean? And just obviously I could say this now and it could go down like a fucking turd, but you know, who knows? Do you know what I'm saying? It's I'm proper buzzing about it. I'm buzzing about the next two more so than the first two, and if that's anything to go off, then you know what I mean.
It's brewing up for a good album then.
Yeah, it's honestly the album. Like, I couldn't. I'm not just saying this because it's my album, but when I listened to it back for the first time, when I got the mix back, I couldn't believe that it was my album. I was like, that's fucking not me. You know what I mean? I have not written those songs. And like, I remember like punching the air in my living room, like listening to them, because I was just that fucking amazed with that, just the sound of it, and like, how it just sounds proper, you know. Like, I'm telling you, if anyone from the past 30 years who's been in my genre of music would have put this album out tomorrow, you would not, like, who's been at the top of the top, I genuinely don't think anyone would bat an eyelid and be like, no, that's shit. They'd be like, fucking hell, this is amazing. Do you know what I mean? I think, like, I genuinely think that, like, the sound, the direction, and like what I've written about and the way I've delivered it is it's my best work yet. And I think I haven't heard much better than it in the last 3 or 4 years from any emerging artist. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, I mean, obviously it's not me who decides, it's the people who decide. But I think if enough people, if the right people hear it, or if just more people hear it, then you know what I mean, it'll sail.
Yeah.
But I'm just buzzing for the campaign now, though, and to get that, like, obviously it's like doing it all again. The first album campaign, like I said at the very start, it's fucking buzzing. Like, you know, once the tune's dripping and you see people getting involved in it, I just like, because I think it's a natural step up in progression, and it's a new sound, it's a new sort of way of me writing me songs and that, you know what I mean? And
yeah,
I just like, I can't wait to see it all over again, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
No? Well, I can't wait to hear it, I'll be honest, because I love the first two, and best of luck with it, really.
You've sold those next two as well. You good. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, but best of luck with the whole campaign, and obviously with the tour as well. And thanks so much for coming on.
Sean, James, thank you very much, lads. Appreciate it.
Been a pleasure, mate. Thank you so much for your time.
Keep earning them 100 quid as well, lads.
Mate, well, if you want to drop down to McCooley's, mate, down to McCooley's later, they'll be fucking chucking cash at you.
Thank you very much, lads. See you soon.
Nice one. See you.
Bye.
Yes, that was Jamie Webster. Been excited trying to get him on for a while, and the time was right with the big announcement. So what did you make of that one, James?
I just think he's superb. I think he's just a great fella, isn't he? His music is fantastic. He's made me a fair few quid.
You'll be sending an invoice for that.
Yeah, well, it'll get burned. And he's just a really nice fella, isn't he? He's a good lad. Yeah,
came across really grounded, and I think that the way he talked about how he used to sort of doubt himself and stuff, that surprised me, and I didn't know that, like, sort of that side of him. And what also surprised me, or maybe didn't surprise me, James, is how your voice, again, around a Scouse person, as it did when you were in Liverpool, morphs more towards sounding like a Scouse. You're like a chameleon of accents.
I don't genuinely don't pick up on it.
You'll enjoy it. I think you'll try and listen back and see if you know what I see, because I think I mentioned it in the Lauren Hibbard episode, didn't I? When you were just before a gig in Liverpool, you were I filmed from my phone, didn't I, in the car for that one? Yeah, and you sounding particularly Carragher.
Specifically Carragher. Yeah, no, I'll be honest, I don't pick up on it. Maybe it's a subliminal thing, I don't know, but
I think it's quite good. I think it's quite entertaining. I enjoy it.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll be back at some point in the near future. Don't even give a week anymore. With potentially the final episode of the season.
Yeah. How do we go bigger than that?
Yeah, we'll find a way. But yeah, in the meantime, Twitter at Northern Chorus _, Facebook Northern Chorus UK, and Instagram Northern Chorus. Goodbye.
Cheers.